Good evening, everyone. I'm Saoumyabrat Tiwari from MBA BM, first year, Xavier Institute of Management. So, first of all, I would like to really thank Illuminatics for giving us the opportunity to voice our opinions on such a pertinent issue that we have at hand today, and that is about how we deal with privacy today in the current world. So, the first important thing is we need to understand what we mean by privacy. Now, privacy is something that allows every individual to live his life the way he wants to, on his own terms, without the influence of anyone else. Now, this kind of faith has been reiterated by a recent judgment passed by the Supreme Court, which stated that privacy is in fact a fundamental right. So, the privacy of an individual, whether it be in terms of his food taste or be it his sexual orientation, is completely his own, and it is something which needs to be preserved, and that is something that the constitution believes in. And it kind of people could say it came as a blow to the current ruling government, because the government is trying to access a lot of info through the Aadhaar. So this kind of a move on the part of the Supreme Court of India could, I mean, some people are taking it to be a roadblock for the government, but in a sense, what the government has done is basically protect the inherent interest of what we mean when we say privacy, and protecting the right of privacy that every Indian has. Now, coming on to the next question is that should journalists be allowed to, cover news from strategic vantage points during times of conflict? And this is one question which you always kind of ponder upon. How much authority do you give to the media, especially when you're involved in a war? Whether you allow the media to go all out and furnish not just the countrymen but also the other stakeholders with the information that they think that they require, or should the media be a better judge of itself and its responsibilities, and then dole out the kind of news that it wants to, and also protect national interests? Because the most important example of this kind of a strategic advantage, or strategic advantage being given out to terrorists was during the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, where our Indian media was involved in a second by second depiction of exactly what was happening during the 26/11 attacks, where the NSGs were positioned, where the Indian commandos were positioned, where the black cats were moving in from. So what we initially thought was that this was brilliant coverage by the Indian media, because every Indian had complete access to the minute by minute unfoldings of the event. But it kind of was a big setback for the Indian armed forces, because they were having a really grueling time in finding out the exact position of the terrorists, who for some unknown reasons kind of always kept moving from one position to the other. Now, what it later on came to everyone's knowledge was the fact that because the Indian media was kind of giving out minute by minute details, the archas of the world, or the warlords of these terrorists in the foreign lands, were kind of connected to them through the internet or through telephone, and they were kind of giving out all these informations through them that they were seeing on the Indian news channels. So you have an irony right there. So the Indian media, in a sense, unknowingly was acting against national interests in that case. Now, the other thing is that should the media be allowed to hound the victims of violence? Now, this is one question which deals on a very, very, very thin line, because when you are dealing with people who have lost their families or their parents during times of conflict, or in a bomb blast or a terrorist attack, so is it a good question to ask them, how do you feel that you lost your husband? How do you feel that you lost your father? Everyone knows the kind of hell that that individual or that family is going through. So kind of reiterating that question and fueling that pain to a greater extent is definitely something that I don't think is advisable, and this is where the humanitarian aspect of journalism also needs to kick in, and we cannot just go on doing things just in the name of giving them justice. The next question is that is Facebook infringing on our right to privacy? So that is one question which I think is not exactly Facebook's fault, or is relevant to what Facebook does, because Facebook always gives you the option of giving out your personal info to the world. So if you have a controlled usage of Facebook and other social media apps, I don't think that this really is a problem of an infringement, because you are the best judge of how you should use your social media to access not just others' information but also give out your own information. So you are the lord of your information. So I don't think Facebook and other social media, in fact, kind of infringe upon your data. So you are well within your control and limits to make sure what goes out and what you need to filter in. And coming to the last topic, how murky is the future? If we have, suppose, say, like Mark Zuckerberg, who in one statement had said that nothing in this world is private anymore. We need to know what is happening, so nothing in this world is private. But ironically, that same person, when he purchased not just his own mansion that he wanted to live in, but he also purchased 4 or 5 adjacent mansions. And this was done primarily to make sure that there were no no other people around him, and he and his family could get exactly the kind of privacy that they wished or hoped for. So this is the kind of tumultuous situation that we are living in currently, and these are some of the views that I think are pretty relevant to the kind of discussion that we're having. And I hope that these they can be based they can be the building blocks of something bigger, and we could carry this forward a lot more. And thank you so much for listening.